Hello, ladies. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Angela from Angela Simpson Functional Medicine, and I'm a healthcare professional. I have been working in the field of women's health for many, many years, and I have a passion for helping females, especially as they get into their 40s and beyond, helping them understand how to get the balance back in their hormones naturally, and also addressing specific topics here in this YouTube channel that I think are coming to me in my practice every single day, and I want you to have some of this tangible information that you could put to use right away. And so one of these things, and if you have this, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, is hormonal headaches. So some women will have hormonal headaches, and they may have had them on and off possibly throughout most of their life since they've been a cycling female, but many actually haven't had them until they get into their 40s and beyond, getting closer to and getting into that transition into menopause. And there is a reason for this from a hormonal perspective. And if you do have this happening, I'm sure it's extremely debilitating to you. So I want to let you know first, typically where the root cause of these hormonal headaches is coming from, and also what you can do about it, how you can take some action right away. Because again, I know if you're having these hormonal headaches, many women I speak to, they have to cancel events, whether it be work or social. They're having struggles with their family and their home life. Often they're having to turn off all the lights, lie down. In some extreme cases, this can have to be the case for 2 to 3 days, and you're canceling all life events. I was actually just recently supposed to go for a fun weekend with a friend, and she had to cancel on me last minute because she said she had gotten a migraine. It was so bad that she couldn't drive to where we needed to get to meet. She knew that she had to stay home, rest and recover, and she was so bummed out. We hadn't seen each other in a couple of years. We were really looking forward to this meetup, but these are the kinds of things that can happen. And so we need to understand, where are these hormonal headaches coming from, and why are they getting more frequent as you get into your 40s and your 50s? Estrogen and progesterone, these are our two primary female sex hormones, and this definitely has something to do with it. As those hormone levels lower, as they will naturally on the way to menopause, this happens to every single female, regardless of if you're doing some things to try and help monitor and modulate the hormone levels. Your progesterone levels are lowering a little quicker than estrogen, but they're both on the decline on your way to menopause. But what can happen and what can trigger these hormonally based headaches is if those two hormones are out of balance with each other. And very commonly, it's that progesterone is lower than estrogen, and it creates what's called an estrogen dominant situation. And this is what can trigger hormonal headaches at certain points in the cycle. And the reason for this is because the hormone levels are changing and fluctuating at certain points in the cycle. The hormone levels are getting lower and lower on the lead up towards your period, if you are still having a regular period as a female. And this is often the time when these hormonal headaches are triggered, either then or right as you're starting to get your period. Some women will have them happen a bit earlier as they start to get to day 14, plus or minus a few days as they're getting close to or starting to ovulate. But very, very commonly, it'll happen at the back part of the cycle and as you start to get your period. This is related to hormonal fluctuations, changes in the levels, and more importantly, when those levels are out of balance. So we can't change the fact that our hormone levels are lowering as we get into our 40s, especially, and our 50s. We're getting closer to transitioning into menopause. But what we can do is we can do our best to understand first what's happening with our hormones. We need to know our numbers. From there, we also need to learn what we can do to adjust and balance these levels as the hormones are lowering. Because there's a lot of natural things that you can do from a lifestyle perspective. One of the myths out there is that if you just take a migraine medication or some sort of over-the-counter anti-inflammatory, whether it be Tylenol, Advil, there's definitely other products out there, and you can just get through the symptoms and get by, you'll be fine for another few weeks, maybe up to a month until your cycle comes again. But often this doesn't actually work. So some women will take these things and they may notice some relief. Often women don't get complete relief and they are still quite symptomatic. And often what will happen as you start to utilize these types of treatments, or symptom management techniques would be a better way of putting it, is often the hormonal headaches will actually come more frequently. And the reason for this is because you're not getting to the root cause of the problem. So the hormones are continuing to fluctuate, shift, lower, and get more and more out of balance in the process. So we need to stop using symptom management as the main way to handle these migraines or these hormonal headaches. And we need to understand what we can do to get things under control naturally and maintain it more for the long term so they don't keep reoccurring over and over again. So one of the first things I always want to look at is the hormone levels. We need to first see what the levels are and if they're out of balance. And this can be done through blood tests. And typically you can get this done often locally. Sometimes your insurance will cover these tests, but often you need to get more advanced hormone testing, not just the blood labs to look at estrogen and progesterone, but a Dutch test, which is something that looks not only at your hormone levels, but it also looks at how your body's utilizing, processing these hormones, detoxifying, eliminating what's needed. It's a little more complex than just looking at the levels to understand if you're in or out of balance. So I'm a functional medicine practitioner, and I do administer this test to people all the time, females just like you that might be suffering from these symptoms of hormonal migraines, hormonal headaches. And this is how we can first start to understand how involved the hormones are in this process and what we could potentially start to put in place right away to start getting the balance back naturally. Often it is a solution that includes nutrition. It often does include some stress management techniques and some specific ways of exercising, and also some specific adaptations around sleep. So these are some natural lifestyle solutions. They have to be customized though and specific to you and your body for them to actually take hold and be successful. So it's not just more of a blanket approach, more general, saying you got to sleep more, you got to lower your stress. We have to get specific. It's not enough to just say we need to do those more broad-based lifestyle techniques. And when you do a Dutch test, we can have an understanding of specifically what's happening with your stress hormones, how they could be impacting the hormonal headaches, the hormonal migraines, the imbalance in your female sex hormones. And these are all potential triggers for why you're getting these migraines every month. So again, the testing is key. Another thing with the testing is it's often not just about the hormones. The hormones are sometimes the trigger, but they're not actually the cause of the migraines or the hormonal headaches. You would think it is because it's happening in time with certain points in your cycle, but often there's other triggers that will actually set the hormones out of balance. And very commonly, this has to do with a high toxic load or burden in the body. And this sounds a bit complicated, but over our lifetime, as we get into our 40s and beyond, we will have, whether we like it or not, an accumulation and an exposure to lots of different toxins in our environment on a daily basis. And over time, as these toxins potentially accumulate in our body, for some women more so than others, and there is certain reasons for that, even sometimes genetic predispositions, those toxins will actually also be something that can trigger not only changes to our hormones and creating imbalances, but even just the toxic load or burden alone can actually trigger a migraine or a headache. Again, first understand if you have a high toxic load or burden, and this is done through proper lab testing with a functional practitioner. And then if there is, we can get specific with what you need to do to help you rebalance this toxic load in your body. Many, many women that I work with, I'd say actually almost all of them, get better with this type of approach. It can sometimes be more complex. Sometimes we need to dig deeper and figure out beyond these two things where that migraine trigger could be coming from. But this is so common. Of course, there's basic lifestyle techniques you can put in place. You can make sure you're not dehydrated. Drink enough water during the day. You need to be drinking 2 to 3 liters minimum, or a gallon to a gallon and a half of water a day minimum. So that helps to keep us hydrated so that doesn't become a trigger. We need to make sure that we are sleeping enough. So you need to get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. We need to do our best to keep our stress in check. We need to be resilient to our stress, have some techniques around this. So these are some lifestyle things that you could start to address and put in place right away. However, they may or may not make all the difference if you don't have proper lab testing, working with a functional practitioner to really understand the root cause of where these hormonal headaches are coming from. So if you want to learn more about that, please feel free to reach out to me. You can connect with me through my website, www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca, and I would be more than happy to speak with you on a free complimentary call to talk about your hormonal headaches, those migraines, and potentially some other hormonal imbalance symptoms that I imagine you have, and if it might be a good fit for us to work together to see if we could help you first figure out what's wrong, figure out the root cause, develop a strategy and a plan that's customized and individualized to you and natural, and help you restore your health and wellness for the long term. So again, that website is www.angelasimpsonfunctionalmedicine.ca, and that's where you can book that free complimentary consult. And thank you so much again for coming to my YouTube channel. I really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to bringing more and more topics to you on hormonal rebalancing for females in their 40s and beyond. Thanks so much.